see. All right. Okay. All right. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Achieve 10X TV, where we're interviewing local people helping the local community. And today I'm excited to introduce you to Meganturnipseed. She is a local realtor. And so, Megan, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
So,
So
Megan,
yeah,
tell us a little bit about yourself.
so as you mentioned, I'm a realtor, but I do a little bit more unique of a niche. So I'm glad that I have the opportunity to kind of share kind of my mentality and why I've gone about this. So I've been selling real estate for, gosh, a little over 10 years. I started in the downturn in 2008. And since then, I have grown my business and I now have a team of a couple agents that help me, as well as an awesome director of operations, in order to make sure we're serving our clients at the highest level. And that is definitely our biggest goal. We want to serve our clients at the highest level, provide consultation advice, and helping with potential land investment and residential. So a lot of times we have people that are wanting to get out into the country. And that's where about 6, 7 years ago, I was able to really learn a lot from my mentor and was able to get into the land sales game. So in addition to selling homes in town and a neighborhood, I've had the wonderful opportunity to actually get to sell beautiful homes on acreage, whether it's 20, 30 minutes from Austin or 2 hours away on 200 acres. We really love being able to do that because there's a lot more that needs to be walked through during that process. It's not as black and white. And I guess I've really enjoyed learning. And that's why real estate is so much fun, because I'm able to learn all sorts of different aspects when we're going through and helping and consulting our clients.
Okay, nice. So, you mentioned that, I guess you're specializing in like land sales. One question that just popped up when you're saying that is what area is hot right now for these land sales?
So I'll be very transparent. My like niche area that I know like the back of my hand is going to be anything north of the downtown or the downtown Austin area and all the suburbs east and west. So let me just give you that disclaimer because that's kind of where my mind goes when you
Yeah.
ask me that question. So the hot areas I'm seeing, you guys can probably guess at Liberty Hill, going out west towards Burnett. And even here in Georgetown, if you can find land, Georgetown, Gerald, these little tight areas that have had a lot of growth, those are still really popular because people are seeing the tax rates are a lot lower. And then people are learning about ag valuation on your taxes. So pay like a tenth of your property tax if you're able to use your property for rural, approved rural purposes in certain parts of the county. So that's huge for a lot of people.
So when you say approved rural service, what are those rural services?
So that's going to be really, it's going to be crops and animals. So if you're a farmer, if you've got, like, I've got some land for sale right now, they're growing corn on, they've grown cotton on, and they're producing an agricultural type product, that's where you're able to take advantage of that benefit. So if you've got cattle, you're probably selling them to slaughterhouses, or you are selling them off for production of cattle or even milk products, things of that nature. Goats are really popular in this area because they're kind of fun. They're great for milk, and there's a lot of really fun things. Like there's a lot of kids doing FFA, and these are really great ways for people to educate their kids, keep their taxes lower. But the big thing is you have to have enough space for that. So the counties do regulate that. And so that's one of the unique areas that you have to be able to know about in order to help guide our clients the best way when that's a goal for them.
Yeah. So when you say, like, let's say animals, right? Is there a requirement as how many animals you have to raise in order to qualify?
Yeah, it's really interesting. It depends on where you are in the county.
Mhm.
For example, Williamson County, we've got on the east side of the interstate, of 35, you'll notice the land is very different. It's very flat and you've got good dirt. On the west side, it's really rocky. So in order to make sure it's more balanced, they take those things into equation. So you may be able to get away with a lot less, say, head of cattle. So you can maybe get away with, say, 6 head of cattle on a piece of property on the west side. But on the east side, since it can handle a lot more, you may need 10. So they have different geographic areas, and each county in the state handles it differently.
Okay. Because I've seen quite a few people, I mean, even when they don't have a lot of land, like even like in Round Rock, they have like chicken coops, right? So does that qualify? And how many chickens do you need?
Chickens, you need a lot more. That's typically probably not going to qualify, but what they may be doing in town, they've allowed something called wildlife exemption. And so once you've had that ag valuation for at least 5 years, they're going to let you qualify for wildlife. Wildlife's a little bit easier because instead of producing some sort of income with agriculture, you may just be supporting the environment so that you have more natural wildlife coming to the area. So you may see people like in Round Rock with Round Rock honey. They have little properties, or they have in the past, that they could utilize that as the wildlife exemption and have, I mean, 3 acres right in the heart of town and pay next to nothing on taxes because they are utilizing it. And it's a benefit for the agricultural community and wildlife community that they're doing that. So there's reports and things that they have to do. It's not just like you just say, hey, I'm doing it. You've got to report to the county and prove it.
That you're producing.
Yeah. And so this is a funny thing that we learned in one of the classes a couple of years ago. In counties that it's really rural and say you're running cattle on a property, well, how do they verify it? They're flying drones and checking to make sure they can see the cow patties.
Wow.
It's pretty wild, but it's really fun.
Yeah. Well, so the wildlife exemption, can you explain a little more? So what are the, I guess, tax savings? Like what exactly is the wildlife exemption tax?
You're going to be reducing your taxes by 80 to 90% of what they would normally be.
Dang.
Yeah. But it's only on the area that you're using that for.
Yeah.
So say you have a 10-acre piece of property.
Yeah.
And you build a house on 1 acre, your house on 1 acre is going to be taxed like normal. It's the rest of the property.
Okay. Got it. Okay. Well,
and that makes a big difference, especially when you're in Georgetown and you've got major growth and taxes are going up and your property value is going up. Yeah. So you've got all those things that, can account for that. So yeah, it definitely makes a big impact, not just in the short term, but the long term if you're in a high growth area.
Yeah. So you mentioned Georgetown. So is Georgetown like out of, Cedar Park, Leander, Round Rock, Georgetown? Is Georgetown booming faster than the rest?
I live here, so I'm seeing a lot of it just in my backyard, but I think it's all about the same. You just got to think about what cities actually have any physical area to grow. Round Rock is pretty locked in, right? Mm-hmm. Leander, Cedar Park, they've got some stuff on the west that can expand. So those areas are doing really well. Liberty Hill is still expanding. Georgetown, it can go east, can go a little bit north. So because of that, that's where we're seeing some of the additional growth. But honestly, a lot of the things that are stopping some of the growth is what infrastructure is available. In that east and northeast sector of Georgetown, there's some issues with water lines that really make growth a lot more challenging unless they start putting in municipal utility districts and start jacking up taxes for whoever lives there. So.
Got it. So have you noticed any change with, since, you do a different part of real estate, have you noticed any change in your business or in your niche since the COVID-19?
Yeah, so that's a really great question. I've been very happily surprised with what the market's been doing here locally. It seems as if we're insulated with us having so much tech and that being able to utilize to be working at home. That I think is a major factor. So I do a lot of residential. It's kind of 50-50 with my business. And I'll say right when everything shut down about 6 weeks ago, we had about 2 or 3 deals that fell out that were supposed to close in that next week. And it was unfortunate because they were due to scares or job loss, things like that. Since then, we haven't really seen any major slowdown. We've definitely changed how we do business.
Yeah.
There's very few times that we are going to go show occupied properties unless it's for sure possibly on that short list. And when we do that, we're gloved, masked up. Nobody touches anything, major precautions taken. But other than that, we've seen a lot of properties come on the market. We've seen a lot more properties go under contract than come on the market, which really
Wow.
surprises me right now. And I'm very
Yeah.
grateful for that.
Yeah. So how is it different from, back in 2008?
So right now it's extremely different. And I really am glad you're asking that, because a lot of people I think are concerned about having a major housing crisis or a major
Yeah.
economic, I guess, collapse. I can't say for the rest of the economy, but I can tell you that we are in a very different place here in Texas and just nationwide for housing. Right now we have such a housing shortage, and we've consistently, just to give you guys like a blanket understanding, a balanced market for buyers and sellers is about 4 to 6 months on the market, is a balanced market. If you guys have been watching anything, we haven't been anywhere near that. I mean, many homes, unless they're priced in a higher bracket or there's just a ton of inventory, many homes are selling very quickly when they're priced and marketed well. So right now we don't have that. We don't have that surplus. We have a major demand. We still can't keep up with building here in the area. So we're in a good place. Our interest rates are still consistently low. They haven't had to do any major corrections. The interest rate drop that they did right at the beginning of this just caused more volatility in the mortgage interest rates,
Mhm.
but it's still balanced out, and we're still really low. So having low interest rates, now the unemployment is a major concern, and to see how we bounce back from there. But other than that, I see we have a lot of strengths on our side to keep us from going into that type of situation.
Well, that's good. Because I
Yeah, and
think,
lenders aren't making bad loans like they were before either. So
yeah, I talked to Amplify, a mortgage loan officer yesterday, and he was saying the same thing too. And so, because in 2008, I think, Austin has always been sheltered kind of from the rest of the whole U.S.
we've been fortunate. Yeah. I mean, things were not good here, but they were not nearly in the same place as the rest of the
The U.S.
US. And I think it's also not just Austin, but the state. Like there's like a physical geographic area they call the Texaplex. And it goes from Dallas to San Antonio, including Austin and
Yeah.
Houston. So that triangle provides so much in our economic scope here in the state of Texas,
Yeah.
because they've got some oil, medical, all sorts of different things between those areas. And we're a little bit more tech heavy, as you mentioned, but that all those other areas help balance it out too. So yeah, keeping Texas strong.
Interesting. Good. So, you are with Keller Williams, right?
Yes, that's
So
correct.
what's the difference between Keller Williams? Why did you choose Keller Williams over any other realtor company?
Yeah, well, it's really about the people for me and the culture. People and culture are going to make sure that you're going to be able to grow. And when you're an entrepreneur and you're doing this yourself, you need to be surrounded by the right people, as you know, in order to help make sure that you grow. So that, and then in addition to the fact that they allowed me to create my own business and create my own team within the company, that I can have my own brand and perspective. And then when I did do the numbers, it was sure a heck of a lot easier for me to go with a company that had already built out amazing education, amazing training within that education, great leaders that I wanted to be around. And I wouldn't have to cover my own insurance for errors and omissions. I wouldn't have to do all this stuff on my own. Because I mean, I do have my broker's license, so I am able to go off on my own if I choose to, or go with a company. But the biggest thing is the people and the culture. And then when you look at the money, it just made it a really easy
Yeah.
solution for me.
Okay, nice. And
Yeah.
so there's tons of realtors all around
Mhm.
Austin. What separates you from everybody else? Why should someone come to you instead of someone else that sells land?
Well, one of the big things that I like to make sure people are aware of is that I'm not here just for the time when they want to sell. I'm here for every time in between. So if that's helping protest your taxes, if that's just running an idea by me for an investment, maybe 5 years down the line, I want to be that person because I want to walk you through that and I want to give you the knowledge so that you can make the best decision. Um, and also, I've found we've really been able to help kind of fill that niche between people coming from the country and into the city or from the city and going into the country and being able to give a lot of great resources there because I didn't grow up in the country. I grew up in Plano, Texas. And I mean, all of this was new to me. And so I think that helps me be able to get people understanding those things as well.
Okay, nice.
So kind of
And
twofold.
so what got you to, become a realtor? What attracted you? I mean, why did you make that decision?
So when I was in college, I graduated from Southwestern up in Georgetown. And when I was in college, I was actually initially going into the medical direction, and then I realized I didn't want to go to school all that long, and I didn't know if I was that was where my brain was working. So I went and got my business degree. During that time, I worked a bunch of part-time jobs, and the one towards the end was at a clothing retailer and helped open that up at the Round Rock Outlet Mall. And it was something that I really enjoyed the perks, the discount, but it also had a commission option. And when you make more in commission versus hourly, they gave it to you that way, which I thought was pretty neat.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying yet. I still was making commission and I did not think I was selling anything. During that same time, my dad was wanting to invest in an off campus home for me and some other students to rent because honestly, it was going to be cheaper than staying on campus and it'd be a good investment. Well, I found a property in a great location, may have happened to be next door to a guy that I liked at the time, but that's beside the point. And we invested in the property. He was wonderful enough. He made it very clear he was putting up the money, but he was not going to be hands on. That was going to be my job. So I painted, had appliances delivered, and going through that whole process, I learned to really appreciate that side of things.
Yeah.
And my mom's best friend at the time was a realtor, and she was like, "Why not do this?"
Yeah.
So I started getting, started getting my education right after I graduated college. Got licensed within 2 months. And then we had that fun October of 2008, where I think there was just like 1 week where everything just went right down the tube.
Yeah.
And I remember everybody's perspective in the office, and I didn't know what to think because I had just barely gotten there. So,
Nice. All right. Well, Megan, any last nuggets, especially during this time, or like why don't we what are some common questions that people ask you that I haven't asked? What are some common questions that people ask you, especially during now? Because the questions now may be a little different than what they were, 6 months ago.
yeah. So the three things are all, of course, financially related. So
Mhm.
mortgage forbearance, making sure you understand what that means and you read the fine print. Many times, this is going to be added on, or you may have to repay it in double payments within a couple months or less than a year. Check out what your mortgage company is offering you if you are in a situation where you need help and you're reaching out. Absolutely reach out, see what's available, but read the fine print and make sure you're not getting yourself into trouble. So that's one thing.
Mhm.
Second thing is this time of year in general, protesting property taxes. So I'm doing a lot of that right now. It's all going to be digital, making it pretty simple and easy. So providing my clients with information so that they can use that as ammo to back them up and keeping their property taxes down. And then the other thing with interest rates that have dropped, refinancing. Refinancing is something that it is good to look at if you have some equity in your home or if your interest rate is, say, above 4.25.
Mhm.
We saw a lot about volatility in the interest rates, but right now they're consistently fairly low. We are in it. 3.5 to 4 on the high side in general. So you can definitely talk with a lender about that. It may be worthwhile. We did it, no money out of pocket, I guess a few months ago, and we're saving $80 a month now. And so it just took us going through some paperwork and signing some stuff, and no closing costs, and all rolled in. So it's worth looking at that to see if that may help you financially as well.
Awesome. Appreciate the info, Megan.
Yeah.
All right, Megan. Well, thank you for spending the time and educating us about what's going on, especially in your niche. I think actually there's a lot of information that I didn't know, so that was pretty cool. And just any last words?
Just want to be a resource. So if anybody has any questions, or if any other realtors would love to connect and market and network, I would love to help there. And I do teach a farm and ranch class for realtors to help make sure that they're educated on the contracts. So if anybody wants that.
So where can people find you?
You can find me on my website, which I will go ahead and post in the comments below when we get done here, turnipseedrealestate.com. And I'll also post my Facebook and my YouTube and all my other fun stuff for you guys to check out and see some cool properties and builders and land we've got.
Sweet. All right, Megan, thank you for your time. And yeah, make sure you post, and even for your class. Are you teaching it for Keller Williams, or is it for your business?
It's for everybody. And then I'm also doing some question and answer sessions on Zoom for realtors and public about land. So we'll be getting some of that lined up in the next, we're going to be doing probably 2 of those this month. And so I'll put the information there as well.
Yeah, make sure you put that information so people can get it if they're, wanting to get some info on that.
Perfect.
All right. Well, again, thank you, Megan, for taking your time, and thanks for the info.
Absolutely.
Right.
Thanks,
all right.
Jimmy.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.